Hello students, in the previous lesson you have already learned about the best practices of food production. Now today you are going to learn about the food production processes. What is food production processes? Now nowadays almost all the food that you eat is processed some way or the other. Why it is commercially done? Because it will eliminate the microorganisms that might cause diseases. So food processing means changing any kind of raw ingredients into food so that it can be eaten by the humans or the animals. And simply by cooking or combining a food with any other foodstuffs will create a recipe. And this is also considered a form of food processing. We are going to learn today the different examples of the food production processes. The first one which we are going to learn today is paddy or rice. Now paddy is also considered as a rice paddy. Now rice is the seed that belongs to the grass species Oryza glamarima or Oryza sativa. Now Oryza sativa is the Asian rice and Oryza glamarima is an African rice. So obviously we consume Oryza sativa. Now rice, as you know, it is a staple food for in more than 100 countries worldwide, and you all know that rice is basically cooked by boiling, or it can also be ground into a flour. The basic requirements of rice for cultivation is it needs adequate irrigation. Also that it requires hot and moist climate for the good productivity. Now Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, China, Japan and Thailand, these are the main rice producing countries of Asia. Now we are going to learn how the rice is obtained. Now rice cultivation is done by some steps. The first one that we are going to learn is the preparation of field. Now before we prepare the field, we need to select the seed which we want to cultivate. So seed quality and selection is very important. Seed is something that must be grown, harvested and processed correctly in order to get a good rice variety. So obviously a good seed quality will increase the yield for about 5 to 20%. And the seed has to be selected in such a manner that it should be free from seed weeds, seed-borne diseases or pathogens or any kind of insects that might hamper the cultivation. After seed selection, the land has to be prepared well. So, before the rice can be planted, we need to see that whether the soil is of best quality or not. And this land preparation involves plowing, tilling and leveling the soil. Now this plowing, tilling and leveling the soil I have already discussed while I was discussing about the practices of the crop production. Now tilling basically allows the seeds to be planted at the right depth, and also it helps in controlling the weeds. Farmers will till the land themselves using hose and any other equipments like with the help of buffalo or tractors or any other machineries that are available nowadays. After the land is prepared, we need to see that adequate amount of irrigation is provided, because cultivated rice is extremely sensitive to water shortages. So in order to ensure the sufficient water, most rice farmers they maintain flooded conditions in their field. And in rain-fed environments, that means where optimal amounts of water may not be available for the rice production, there are different techniques that can be implemented, such as saturated soil culture, alternate wetting and drying, raised beds. This can be applied in order to cope up with the drier conditions. So adequate amount of water should be present while cultivating paddy. After the paddy attains maturity, harvesting is done. Now what is harvesting? As I've already said before, it is the process of collecting the matured rice crop from the field. And these harvesting activities include cutting, stacking, handling, threshing, and cleaning. So, good harvesting methods will maximize the grain yield and will minimize the grain damage. So, it has to be done with proper care. After harvesting, by the process of threshing, winnowing, and milling. Now, what is threshing? Threshing means beating the dried paddy stalks against the bars and grains are separated from the stalks. And nowadays, this process is also done by machines to save time and labor. After that, threshing is followed by winnowing, and this helps in removing the unwanted materials from the paddy grains. Finally, milling is done, and this is done to remove the yellow husks from the paddy in order to obtain the polished rice. After you get the polished rice, if you observe the anatomy of rice, it will somewhat look like this. The outer part, this one, is the hull. Now each grain of rice is enclosed in a tough outer hull, or commonly we say husk, that has to be removed before it can be consumed. And this layer is removed in almost all rice types. Underneath the hull, the next layer is the bran. This layer is not removed in all rice types because this is a nutritious layer and they are usually tan colored, but it may be reddish or black depending on the pigmentation of the bran layers. And this bran layer can be consumed or it can be removed while we are processing the rice further. Now once the bran and the germ layers are removed, the white rice remains. And this white rice is known as the endosperm. This is the part that is mostly consumed by us. Next is the germ layer. What is it? It is found under the hull, and this germ layer is also known as the rice kernel, and it is mostly nutrient dense, full of vitamin B, minerals and proteins. It actually imparts color to the rice and also adds nutritional benefits. Next, coming to the different kinds of rice in India. The first one which we are going to learn is the Ayush. Now this type of rice is sown in summer along with the pre-monsoonal rains, and they are harvested in autumn, and that is why they are known as Osh rice. From the word autumn, it is Osh. Next, coming to Aman. This type of rice is sown in rainy season around July to August, and they are harvested in winter. India produces almond crop mainly. Another type is the Boro rice, and these are sown in winter and harvested in summer. And Boro is a Bengali language. It is a word derived from a Sanskrit word Borob. This means it is a special type of rice cultivation on residual or stored water in low-lying areas after the harvest of kharif rice. Next type is the IRRI rice. What is it? It is the International Rice Research Institute. Here, it develops rice varieties that are resistant to major insect pests and diseases such as blast, bacterial blight, sheath blight, and many other diseases. So these are the basic kinds of rice in India. In the next part, we are going to learn about another example of food production process, that is mango. We are going to see there how mango is cultivated and how many types of mangoes are there in India. Thank you.